Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is the Grow Hour, Mr. Weedman and Big Earl. Big Earl, my brother, how the hell are you?
What's up, dude? I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I saw those big, fat doinks you rolled for this show, and they looked like monsters. Tell me about them, brother. Tell me what you're smoking.
Well, I was trimming a little bit today. Went to the lab and trimmed a little bit and had some lowers. I said, man, these look good. So it's peanut butter breath. Rolled up a couple backwoods, some Russian creams. There's I tell you what, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but cigars anymore, like these Russian creams especially, you go to one place and there's fucking $6-7, like $6.99 is what they mostly are, and they've been that for a while around me. But you can go to the gas station next door and they're $10 freaking dollars. I didn't, I thought there were laws against like changing prices of tobacco and shit, but I don't know. But yeah, I found them. My little gas station had them for cheap, so I had.
There you go. Yeah, because you rolled one of those when you stopped by the other day, and those things are very tasty, very, very tasty.
I love the rest are all right, but the Russian creams, man, I'm just kind of like it's the Russian. If I want something big or I'm doing like a group, Russian creams all day. For my if it's myself or like maybe me and one other person, the Honey Dutches, superb. And then the Russian creams. Yeah, how about you? You have any cigar preference?
No, not me, man. I'm just smoking on the Spliff Society wrap. I like them. That's a local guy around here. These things are like palms. These things are amazing. But I'm smoking that new. Well, it's not new. I've had it from you for a few times, but the new garden that you grew, the Chem Cheese Haze. I will tell you, bro, that is the stinkiest fucking bud. Holy shit, did it reek my house up that fucking jar? You open up that shit, man, it just whew,
Dude, that Chem Cheese Haze is
unbelievable.
different. It was different, dude. I over manicure my plants, like when I'm stripping, and this is one of my last runs or that run of it. I was just busy. I didn't strip it down as much as I usually did, and it liked it so much more. I mean, I've never had it like that before. We're like, hey, more leaves, more dense flowers. Hey, more leaves, higher yield. Like it just came out. Yeah, it just came out so nice. And that's the only thing I can think. Like it was the summer. My room was running a little warmer than normal, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I'm always in VPD, like we'll talk about today. And so I can't see that being a huge thing. And so like I really think it was just me basically being fucking not being able to get into my garden like I want to, and not being as like rough and not stripping it down as hard.
Right. Monsters though. Monster nugs, monster smell, phenomenal smoke, unbelievable. And also the bubble gum you brought it by too.
Yeah.
Those
That
are the
bubblegum was
two.
kind of the same way. The first time I ran the bubblegum, I liked it way more. Way bigger flowers, chunkier. I don't know if you noticed, like I kind of had a hard time finishing that bubblegum. Like
Well, this is the first time I got it from you.
Yeah.
I haven't tried any other ones from you, but this was the first time. I like it because it was a very good mellow high, which I love. So I'm more of a downer kind of guy when I smoke. So I really enjoyed the body high from it, just the relaxation from it, the clear, just so nice. So had a nice smell, very green, nice and green. Had a nice spring in the buds too, and sticky. Not as sticky as the Chem Cheese Haze, but it had a nice stick feel to it. But a very bouncy bud, like a very very like had a little spongy to it. It was nice, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I ran it, much more golf bally, much more dense flowers. I didn't have a problem, dude. I have a problem finishing it. If you go back through and look at it, like when you trim, sometimes you have your little bit of like sugar leaf in there. Like you can't get all the sugar leaf out. There's a little bit in there, right? Well, if you see some of the sugar leaf, which I want my flower to look superb, so hopefully I did all right getting rid of it. But it was just some of it was like more dead than I like my leaves to be at the end, And so, but with that, I think it was a little stickier than the first time, and I felt like very little bubble gum in it. But the first time was zero bubble gum, and at least this time there was like very slight hint of an actual bubblegum node, for me at least.
Yeah, I had a really nice sweet smell to it from what I recognized. The one thing about that strain, the history of that strain that I didn't realize that was founded and grown in Indiana first.
Yes, that particular. So different kinds, but that particular one is an Indiana bubblegum S1.
Yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
man. I was like, and they took that over to Amsterdam and kind of reformalized it a little bit and got it stronger of a plant. But I didn't realize back in the 70s or 60s, whenever I read the history of that plant, I actually read it on the Weedman 420 Chronicles when I smoked it on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I actually read the history of it. I was like, I did not know that came from fucking Indiana.
Yeah, that one definitely did. There are bubblegums that
Yeah,
didn't, but that particular one is from Humboldt CSI, who does a lot of preservation work. Some people don't agree with it. I love it. But that literally was Indiana bubblegum self S1. That was an S1 seed. So put back to itself. Because I think the Indiana bubblegum was a clone only. Like, I'm sure there's seeds and shit of it out there, but like the Indiana bubblegum was a clone only. I'm pretty sure.
crazy, man. I'm so happy that I called it right on the strain and gave everyone a little history about it too. But
Yeah.
keep on growing that one, man. Perfect that one because it is really nice, fucking, really nice. For me, for medicine wise, it was perfect. You
Nice.
know,
Well, I'll have to throw it back in the
yeah.
rotation, man. With all these fucking cuts coming through, I'm back. I was growing
Don't
a
be
couple.
mad. I ain't mad at you about
Yeah,
that, but yeah, get it back in that rotation. That's a
yeah,
keeper. That's definitely a winner for me.
yeah.
For a high, and if anybody that's a medical patient, that is a winner right there. And like I said, the history of being in the Midwest, you gotta love the Midwest, man, for that one.
Yeah.
Home
And
team right there. And I
you
said
know
on the
who
show, I
hunted
said
that out?
Indiana.
Hell yeah.
Who the fuck knows it came from Indiana, the great state of weed,
Great
Indiana.
state of Indy. Well, you know what else is awesome?
I was crying when I fucking read. I was like, Indiana. What the? Oh, something good came out of Indiana then. Some weed. There you go.
Yeah, Reggie Miller and some weed. What's nice too, our boy Nick hunted that out for me. So I gave him a pack. I
Oh,
gave him
hell
that
yeah.
pack. And so it was hunted out in St. Louis as well. So very Midwest.
Nice.
Um,
Home team right there, all you
yeah, buddy.
motherfucking Midwesterners, baby. The best is the Midwest.
Yeah, buddy.
This is gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah.
We've touched on this in other episodes, but never fully did a full focus group on this. So this might be something even better to bring some guest on
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Once you actually teach me and educate me about how to grow for flavor
Yeah.
is what this episode is all about, growing for flavor. So this is going to be a really fun episode because we have had a lot of other guests on and we have a lot coming on down the future. This could be a good topic for most of these breeders and growers because everybody wants to grow for flavor,
Yeah.
right?
I love
Flavor
that you
over
said breeder
what does Umami say on his shit?
over
Flavor over
everything.
everything, right? And we've had him on the show early days. Go check that show back out. There was a good knowledge on that show. But yeah, flavor over everything. So this could be a really good show to bring some other folks on. Maybe we get Umami back on again one day. You know,
Cool.
Terp Fiend, you know, he's always welcome on the fucking show anytime we want. And even maybe Mike Straight will come back on and talk because all these folks are trying to grow and breed for flavor.
Yeah, dude.
Because that's all we want. I mean, I like the high. Don't get me wrong. We all know you can get high. Everything's going to be anywhere between 14 to 29%. So yeah, great. We all know we're going to be there. Other cannabinoids coming in, great. But just like beer, when the craft beer came out, you know, weed and craft beer have been on wine. What is wine, beer, bourbon,
It all
weed?
goes through it.
It all wants what? Flavor. Your palate, your
Flavor.
nose, your nostrils, your olfactory glands, how you taste first there. And then you taste it on your tongue, dude. This fucking weed is amazing. Anyway,
I'm glad you like it.
the high is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's a nice
I'm
high.
I'm
It's
I'm
an
glad
upbeat.
I'm glad you're doing most of the talking today.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all want flavor. So this is where hopefully this helps all you out there. So let's go.
Yeah.
How do you grow for that maximum? Give me that fucking maximum flavor, baby. Yeah, the
Oh yeah.
maximum
300
fucking
max
build.
million. I mean, really, it starts with the genetics, right? Like you said, the breeder. The thing about max flavor, and we're gonna get into it way deeper, you know, but you got to grow the weed out right. You got to let it express itself. It starts with the genetics. If you're not properly expressing your genetics, how the fuck are you breeding with it? Like you can be crossing it but you're not even making an educated guess at like the flavors you're trying to put together. You know, you're taking something that you think is like you gotta have the genetics. You know, if you're the genetics, you're not gonna grow a diesel and get it, you know, some crazy fruit try. I mean, if it's that cross that way, then you know, but you're not gonna, you just not, you're not gonna be able to add something and take it from one flavor to another flavor. You can enhance the flavor. You can make certain shit come out of it a little harder, or a little less. You're never gonna be able to just like straight up change your flavors. So the genetics, look up what you're getting, know what you can expect. That's my favorite part about crossing seeds. We've talked about that. I know exactly what the parents are, and most of these now, I know what the parents' are. I know exactly what all that shit is. I know exactly, like, ooh, this seems like, you know, the Ice Queen Haze is coming out of this one a little bit, or you know, and that goes back 3 generations, 4 generations with some stuff with me now. And so, just knowing that helps so much, and to know that you have to allow the plant to fully express itself, and that's it. And that's basically what we're going to go over. Like, how are we going to give everything to the plant so that it tastes good as fuck when you grow it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's, you know, that's it. That's it. And I think everybody kind of has a general idea, but there are definitely some of these little, I wouldn't even call them tricks, but these little things that I think we've lost a little bit. There are these, when I was working at the shop, every fucking old timer had some weird way of getting flavor or of getting really strong branches or whatever. It was like, dude, and I've talked about some of it, but like we had people coming in that were using old carpet they were growing in, and like I wouldn't ever do that, and like it's nasty, and
You've
who
told
knows?
we've talked about this before.
Dude,
The old carpet.
he like uninstalled, and what's the worst part? It wasn't even his fucking or his clean carpet. He was like did it for a living or something. He's like, well, this is just this, so I just chop it up and put it in my pots, and it grows just fine. It's like, man, I'm glad that works for you, but the nastiness that is leaching out, I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even imagine, you know. But there are a couple little things that they would do that you don't see a lot. You know, you don't see a lot of people showing. So we'll go over a little bit of that too when we get to it. But yeah, number one, how do you grow for maximum flavor? You start with a genetic that can get you maximum fucking flavor. You know, all you can do is fuck it up. So you try to fuck it up as little as possible. Let the plant be as much as it can be by itself.
I got a song for you though. Remember the song by NWA? And it was called it's called Express Yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm listening to it right now while you're talking. A little smoke break on that one. But yeah, I'm telling you, flavor over everything. But
Tell
what
you.
about I mean, should question be like kind of when I'm like talking to breeders or talking to people growers, I mean, should the question be when I'm asking them about their genetics, it should be how do I hunt it for? Should I hunt it for flavor only, or should I hunt, you know, when I'm looking at different breeders, different growers, is that I'm looking for that hunt, or I'm hunting at home, I'm
Yep.
doing it myself, you know, I'm hunting for that. Is that should be the first thing I look for, or, you know,
No,
is that
absolutely. Well, if you're asking the breeder what you should be looking for sure, and they should be able to say, well, this is what I would expect. Even so, first off, they should have it.
or I should say, sorry,
That's okay.
hurt flavor, right?
What could hurt it? What could hurt the
Hurt it.
flavor?
Oh,
Well,
what could
I mean,
hurt
and
the
what to hunt
flavor?
it, how to hunt it too, right? Because it's like, what flavors can I expect? If you like certain tactics, certain additives for this flavor compared to that flavor or whatever, because we'll talk about a little bit, and you're trying to pull a certain flavor out, what flavors should I expect? What can I look for here? You know, everybody who's pheno hunted knows everything will be different. What's
Right.
the winner? What's the winner in your opinion gonna taste like, look like, smell like in this scenario? Well, the winner is gonna have, you know, structure from its grandpa. Hopefully, I tried to pull that through to the next generation by, you know, by selecting a plant that had it, you know, and hopefully it's gonna get, you know, this a little bit of this color from mom and a little bit of this flavor from mom, but really end with this. That's why I like hazes a lot. A haze for me adds like, so first off, super dense big flowers are more susceptible to bud rot. That's not really a problem with me, but it can be a problem. for a lot of people. If you're dry area, it's not. If it's a little wet, if there's a little bit off, like, and it takes a commitment to get it there, and so it's like like mine's off a little bit sometimes. It's in a fucking basement. My main.
How many times you got to hunt for that flavor though too? I know we're talking about both hurt and hunt, but how many times, like, sometimes does it take to hunt for that flavor? And then
It
by the
depends.
way, does it get hurt because so many times you're hunting it?
It can the genetics. So it's all about that hunt. So that's the question. How many seeds do you have to hunt to find this? Well, stabilizing a strain used to be pertaining to that. So right now, usually when you talk about stabilization, people think you talk about herm. Stabilizing a strain seed wise, like having a strain that doesn't herm is just like a given, right? Like if your shit's herming all the time, like no bueno, especially anymore. Like people are making some pretty strong things that, like, I don't see herms very much in seeds, and I'll hunt all kinds of people. But sorry,
Need a little
when
smoke break
yeah,
on that one.
when when you talk about stabilizing the genetic, it talks about stabilizing its expression. So a really good breeder, when you see people taking things to F3, F4, stuff like that, which I don't think you listen, going farther than that, I think is great, especially when you have a purpose and you're trying to do something. Sometimes it's just to try to recreate what you already created, and just have another generation of it because you didn't hold on to the dad or the mom or whatever. But stabilization typically, or should mean, that all those seeds express pretty close to the same. You stabilize their expression. You got this stuff to be the same. So when you go to a real nice breeder, somebody who's stabilized an expression into those late, F4s, F5s, whatever, you can say, okay, all the not maybe not exactly the same, maybe not all of them. A lot of these seeds are going to look exactly the same. This is what they're going to look like. But when you hunt, like, a lot of F1s are not like that. A lot of F1s, you see grandparents and parents and all this shit. So when you do your hunts, I think there's a place in this world for big hunts and small hunts. But a lot of us are smaller hunters. So we pick from our best of the small hunts. And so if you're doing a 10 seed hunt and you get, let's say you get just 10 females, right? Let's say you do a 20 seed hunt, you get to 10 females. If they're all fucking fire, you can probably assume that even if they're not super similar, like a lot of them, they should be some similarities, but even if they're not exactly stable, right, in terms of expressing exactly the same, if they're all super fire, like, advance with it. At least that's what I do, And I'm not fucking, me. I don't sit here and say I'm a big breeder. I'm this and I'm that. I like to consider myself a pollen chucker more than anything because I just want to have fun.
I
I don't
like
want to
that
be
word.
contained.
I love it.
I don't
Pollen
want to be
chucker.
contained by my definition of what a breeder might be. I
Right.
just want to have fun, so I'll call myself a pollen breeder or pollen chucker. I don't care. I'm just, hey, this was fire and this was fire, and if I could get a little bit of this, like this and that in there, I'm gonna see what we can do. But yeah, that hunt. If you get a breeder that is, let's say, selecting like me, okay. I got a lot of different shit. You're gonna see a lot of different expressions come to me. I'm not fucking stabilizing shit. I want I like my F1s. I want to pop 10 seeds. And as long as I can get, if I pop 10 ladies, if I can get like 5 or 6 of them like really good, I'm happy as fuck. Like, I'm saying, okay, these other ones this one was fire, but the yield on it, you can't fuck with it. And this one grew weird from the beginning, and this one just didn't have it. And, if I'm good, So if you're going with some of my stuff, you're gonna get a lot of different expressions. And I like to throw strains that people don't see a lot, and, like, I just want to be different. Where when you go with some other breeders, they're more working on stabilizing stuff. They're more working on saying, hey, this is the true expression of what this plant's going to be. So first, know exactly what you're going in for, and we talked about that. But as far as, like, how can you hurt the flavor, like what you were asking, I think that's the big thing there, right? Like, the expression is there. I always talk about it. I've probably said it on the show a few times. Your genetics give you 100% potential. Whether that 100% potential is like super fire, best weed you ever smoked, or that 100% potential is mids, that's your potential in that genetic. Your job is to get that as close to that 100% to get that to the finish line. All you can really do is fuck up, right? That's like a grim way to looking at it. All you can do is fuck this plant up. So
You're still gonna get something to smoke though, just so you know. You can't unless you kill it. Like you, I mean, I have buddies, you know, that just started growing and they fucked their plant up, but they still got stuff to smoke. Is
Oh,
it the
for
best
sure.
weed you're ever gonna smoke? No, but I got them high. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they fucked some plants up. Basement got too cold, so their fucking tent got fucking frozen. It
Yeah.
stunted the plant's growth and all that shit. But they still got fucking. They still had like 4 or 5 fucking shoots and fucking buds, maybe about that big, and they were
Oh yeah.
frosty. Yeah, like
And
you
it's
said,
probably really good.
it was pretty
Probably
good
really
because
good.
it was T the Tech. He fucking
Yeah.
gave me fucking couple nugs and I was like, T is pretty good for all the
Yeah.
fuck up you did.
Like, dude, homegrown.
it even
People don't
tasted
understand the
pretty
difference.
decent. It even tasted
Oh
decent,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I
So
mean, he probably had some real nice genetics in there, and even with
mhm.
those fuck ups, he was able to
Yeah,
hold on to it.
you know whose genetics it was?
What?
Yours
Nice.
and
I like that.
And Alabri Hayes.
Yeah, dude.
So
I would stand behind any breeder we've had on. I've personally known, and like all of them are such badasses.
right.
They're all so good.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's just funny. I started laughing. I'm like, dude, you smoked fucking good weed.
yeah, but yeah, that should be the question: is there a way to hurt these? You know, is the mom intolerant to high humidities, or does anything get wind burned easily, or stuff like that? Rather than, hey, what you should know kind of what to expect out of different strains, but like, hey, how do I hurt these? And
Yeah,
really,
I've heard a couple of my grows. I have put a
there you
couple
go, there you
hurtings on it, but got phenomenal weed.
go.
I
Yeah,
mean, I've put a hurting on them. The last grow I didn't because I started doing the organic soil. It was tough for me these last 4 fucking grows with it.
organic's
So then
hard, bro.
I put a hurt on them, but it still got good bud, like
Yeah,
really good bud. Not the best, but I've always said I just want to smoke good smokable weed.
yeah.
Both all 4 of them, man. The blueberry soda that was a fuck up that
Mm,
I didn't think it didn't do well for my nose, but you and these people, these folks that I've rolled some up at some of these events I do said this is some of the best we ever. But get the fuck out of here! This was a fuck
good.
up. This was,
That was that blueberry soda seed. Man, I wonder if that selfed, or I wonder if that came from. I wonder what the fuck that was.
dude. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, man. Well, I gave it to you. You said it was
yeah,
good. I'm like, it had like a cream soda fucking taste to it, like a
yeah.
vanilla flavor to it.
I didn't get that
Maybe
out of
that's why
mine.
it's weird to me. I just know because I fucked it up so bad. But the buds were like this fucking big and they were
Oh yeah.
frosty. But the flavor to me was off. But to me, I don't know why. To me, it smokes nice, gets me high nice, but the flavor to my nose just turned me off. But everybody who has had this, I'm like, all right, I
I,
guess I didn't fuck it up. But
it happens, dude.
to me, I felt like I fucked it up because you've told me too. There's been some strains that your nose didn't like, but I've smoked it and smelled. It. I'm like, oh, dude, this is great.
Literally, the strains that I get the most feedback on are ones where I'm like, people are gonna fucking hate this. Like, I'm trimming it, and it's just like, like the flavor's not there, or it's like not a really nice bud structure or something, and I'm like, God damn it, should I even put this in a bag? And I'll literally, like, the lemon pound cake was like that.
Oh,
And
I like that. I love the lemon
that
pound. The lemon
was
pound
the
cake
only
you
one.
bought here. I love that shit, man. I could
Dude,
smoke that all the time.
it was like an
Oh,
okay high for me, and the nose was like almost non-existent. What I thought was, and like just everything about it was lackluster. But I probably had more people after I got rid of that fucking plant. Had more people request it
oh
than
yeah. You can make that. You can bring
almost
that
anything
back.
else.
You could put that in rotation anytime for me. That and we talked about the triple X too. You did too.
Yeah,
You can
dude,
put that.
agreed.
You can put that anytime in the fucking in the. Oh man, good shit. So
Yeah. But yeah, so how do you hurt it, right? So really, to me, flavor comes three. There's three different ways to fuck up flavor. That's your atmosphere, right? Your VPD, you're growing it weirdly, differently there, where either like you can't literally get it to the end for the flavor, or it just like too dry messes it up, kind of stuff. The food, if your feeding is off, and you're not feeding some organic, in my opinion, um, the flavor isn't always going to express itself fully. And then the dry and the cure, and we've talked about all those things, but the dry and the cure, oh my god, talk about 2 weeks that can really fuck you. Man, if you're not drying and curing it well, it doesn't matter what you do, the shit's not going to be as chronic as it could be. But But yeah,
Yeah,
those.
drying it. I could tell that too with the drying and cure, especially trying to do it out of your basement. That is not the perfect place to grow in my house. I have a
Yeah,
very old house. The dry cure part is I barely. I think from now on I can't do 15 days. I have to do like stop it at like 12, 13,
go
and then
faster.
put it in the jar and let it finish in there more. 15 days in my house. And I keep the humidity now at 60 in there, 55, 60 when I'm curing it.
Yeah,
Uh but still, because in especially in the wintertime here, the house is so dry.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's tough. So I think I have to pull it just a little bit earlier and do the rest in the jars. Because
yeah.
I can keep it. I can keep my room that I keep my jars in. It stays 55 humidity all year round.
Yeah,
So
that's nice. That's nice. That's
yeah.
I always go for the 60-60, and
Oh yeah, tell me about this. Tell me about
the,
this. I wanted to hear about
the
it. The 60 60.
60-60 on the dry, bro, is my perfect. But so the biggest, easiest, I don't even think biggest secret, but to me, the biggest like advancement in my drying was these fucking dry tents. I've been running them for probably 5 or 6 years now. Um, they
I've seen
are,
them. I've seen
yeah,
your dry tents.
they're dope. They're blacked out
Yeah.
tents. You buy them that way, just like you'd buy a grow tent, and they're black, completely black, and they have a filter on the bottom, and that filter was where air pulls into, but it's like this thick black spongy filter. So you have a fan up top. I have two dry tents, 3x3 dry tents, so I dry in a 3x6 area, and so it's like a super small area, but you can like stack plants on top of each other. You have a fan, inline fan out of the top. So I have all that running into a carbon filter, which like it doesn't take it completely out, especially like you kind of destroy the carbon filters doing that high humidity. Carbon filters, let's just talk about this for a second while we talk about them. I see people trying to resell carbon filters on Facebook. I see all this shit. They're nasty. They're all this. If your carbon filter is in an area that's 70% humidity or higher, the shit's stopping not working very well very fast. That is a charcoal powder. When it's too humid, it rocks up. Do not buy secondhand charcoal like carbon filters. That shit is not
I
going to
I
work.
didn't even know there was
No,
such a I didn't even know there was such a thing.
I'm always kind of like scouring for some shit, And so, especially on marketplace and stuff, I'll see these people selling stuff, and it'll be
second
like black
second
fans that are like so dusty or carbon filters.
secondhand carbon
Dude,
filter.
no, but it's tempting because they can get expensive, especially for a bigger one. You're talking hundreds of dollars. Don't
Oh,
do
I
it. It's
know.
not going to work.
That's
Um,
funny.
and it's gross. And it's fucking gross. But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the
Secondhand.
dry tent.
You were talking about secondhand carbon filter.
Secondhand carbon. So the dry tents. I pull the air pulls out of the top of the tent, forces the air through the bottom. I have two little 6-inch fans, each corner, like caddy, not really caddy corner to the filter, but each opposite of the filter kind of thing, blowing down, and so it just like it, the buds are barely getting touched with air, which is what you want. A very light blowing over each, or very light airflow over each flower, but still that airflow to move those humidity pockets. It's huge. This little tent. These tents were fucking epic. Before that, I was like hanging plastic trying to do it, and it couldn't survive the negative pressure. And then doing it in a 2x4, and it was like constant tweaking and this and that. And these little 3x3s, I literally just kind of like sneak them into my flower room that's already running 60% humidity, and let them do their fucking thing, bro. They even run a little warm. Like theoretically, I'd like it to run 60 degrees all night, but it's like during the day, it gets into the late 70s in there,
Right.
especially in the summer. And
Yeah.
so, but it still is beautiful, comes out perfect, and you don't have to get to shit on 14 days. It will hang in there, and it will be nice. Not as nice as if you got it into grove bags right away, but if you get to it within a month, you can't tell. If
Shout
you get
out
to
to
it within,
Lance.
yeah, if you get to, yeah, exactly, or anything, or curing them in jars if you do it right. Like if you do that, it can be done right in a ton of different ways. It's just about releasing the CO2. But yeah, those fucking dry tents. I'll tell you what, I'm sure we'll bring it up again when we get to that area. But if you're trying to perfect your drying, those dry tents can make shit easy.
There you go. Where are we?
Uh,
Food?
go
Food?
over atmosphere. We'll go
Oh,
over yeah, atmosphere and then food and then
atmosphere?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you talk about atmosphere a lot on a lot of things. You talk about airflow too a lot. Airflow, airflow, airflow. But atmosphere is a big thing you've talked about on the show a few times that you hit some really good stuff.
Yeah,
So
airflow is so important because it will give you your true atmosphere readings. If you're not getting the humidity pockets or the dry pockets or any of that shit normalized and air flowing, like how are you even gonna know? You don't know nothing. You gotta have the airflow. But yeah, so we need atmosphere, food, and a nice dry and cure. Those are for me the biggest uh, factors on bringing out, allowing the flavor to express itself, allowing the flavor to come out. Right? Atmosphere. We talked about it all the time. VP fucking D. Vapor pressure deficit. Listen, this is typically a little bit more
I
humid.
was looking at your chart yesterday. I was looking at it just because I was on my computer.
It's typically a little bit more humid than a lot of people run. Like, and it really is because especially back in the day, and it might be different now. Maybe people caught on to VPD way heavier. I hope they did. It looks like and seems like they did. Back in the day, whenever even back in the day, when I say back in the day, it's not like back in the day like what some people are. When I first started at the shop in like 2015, I think it was the end of 2015 or 2016, it was about getting all the humidity you fucking could out of there. Humidity equaled PM, which was misinformation. Humidity equaled bud rot, which was misinformation. Which I mean, it's a factor, but still some misinformation. Humidity equaled all kinds of nasty stuff, and so it was about just getting the humidity out of there. But now, man, I run 60% humidity, and it's everything's so beautiful, you know.
Hmm.
And but it's like if you're running an 80-degree room, that's where you need to be. And mine's topping out at that, 80, close to the 80. So if you're running warmer than that, you should look at the VPD charts. So I'm just gonna read one. So if your room's hitting like 82, if you're in HPS, right? If you're in HPS, the big thing with HPS is it's not room temperature, it's fucking canopy temperature. And if you're in a basement under HPS bulbs, the shit gets pretty warm under those. Even DEs with the open wings that lets the heat out, and you got fans, like that shit's 10 degrees warmer than the rest of your room. But let's say you're running like an 84-degree room, and I mean, and it changes with veg and early flower, late flower, but 84-degree room, I mean, you're talking bare minimum, like fucking very, very late flower, you're talking 50%.
Hmm.
Like mostly, especially in veg and shit, but mostly in flour, you need 60%, and then in veg, you need up to 75%. That is just one chart, right? But yeah, so it's like the humidity when you're growing is a huge thing.
Hmm.
It's huge. So and there's a couple weird things in there too. Let's talk a couple of maybe exceptions. Um, so theory, the skunk, a lot of that skunk flavor comes out in higher humidity. Maybe that's a terpene that reacts that way. Maybe that's known somewhere and I just don't know it. I've heard that as a theory. I've never seen somebody like show a paper on it. But that's the theory also why a lot of people say the skunk's gone, the skunk's gone. You can't find the
I
skunk
don't know.
anymore.
I don't know. I hit a skunk in this fucking house from that Chem Cheese Haze.
Really?
Jeez.
Well, the theory there is people used to grow in like attics and the corners of basements, and they didn't have extra ACs and they didn't have DHUs. They couldn't run the bills up like that.
No.
Shit was really humid, and so well, yeah, those skunks came out really hard with the high humidity theory. I personally have never tried that. I've never had an environment where I was like, hey, I'm gonna spike the humidity in here because I would, I'd fuck everything, but it would be cool to try out. It'd be cool to see. Um, Too high of airflow, in my experience, if you dry something out, you're gonna destroy. You're not just gonna destroy the terps. You're gonna destroy all that. Like if you got something on a corner of like high air speed, or you see like leaf damage from the wind, that is drying some shit out.
Hmm.
So if you everything's really nice, if you got some wind blasting way too hard, you're probably not going to be super happy with that flavor, especially coming off of that bud. And then heat in general. So the heat just in general destroys fucking terps. That is proven. That is in fucking papers. People show that shit. Like when you go to like professionally dry and cure, 60 degrees, 60% humidity. Over 60 degrees, they show degrading terpenes. and maybe even cannabinoids. Honestly, I don't remember that all the way. And I wish I could cite or recite where I heard that from, but I heard that's been like that's like in a document. I'll have to look that up. I'll send that over to you. That's like documented and tested and not theorized.
Nice.
So high heats. So keep that as cool as you can um, when you're drying and curing. And when you're growing it, to a certain extent, you can, if you can keep your VPD there, if you can technically probably grow most things a little cooler than what we do. But it's all about what you can do. I've never seen anything on that, but that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Food.
Food.
What about the food?
Give me
Okay,
that
so number
food.
one, organic doesn't mean better. Organic's great. Don't get me wrong, especially with like when you're buying food to eat. But when you're talking about growing a plant that's grown super well with salts, is probably gonna be better than a really shittily grown organic plant that has a ton of nutrient deficiencies, and maybe you're making it to the end. It's just
Yeah.
is what it
I
is,
feel I feel it. I have.
and it's
I've
yeah,
it's
it
not
just
it's not easy.
the organics is is like viewed at as easy because it can be like, oh, just add this powder to some soil and you're done. You don't have to worry about pHing in a lot of situations. You just add the water afterwards. And so you're like, oh, I have to, instead of getting into this 3-part where I have to do 3 milliliters of this week, and then 4 milliliters of this week, and 2 milliliters of that this week, and then next week I have to feed you something else or whatever. Instead of getting into that, you just add a powder a few times, and it's very easy. But it just doesn't always equal better. There's pesticides out there that are organic that are fucking awful. There's all kinds of stuff out there that's organic that's not good for you. Um, I'm a super huge fan of synth-ganic. I love to, because organic has a benefit for sure. Well grown
I
organic
did both.
flour is effing delicious.
I had to do both on the last grow. I had to do
Organic,
both.
baby.
I did organic soil, and I used the Big Earl nutrient blend.
Yeah, buddy. That's what that line's
The
literally designed for.
Yeah, the plant needed it. I was no, there was no. I remember I'm like, dude, I don't know if this plant's gonna make it. And I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to use some of your stuff.
Yeah, get in there.
I've tried, and I can't keep on putting more soil, like getting bigger pots. I don't have enough room.
Yeah.
So
So to completely master organic, you have to run multiple times under the exact same conditions, the exact same plant, and then you test your soil at the end of it. Basically, that's to be 100% mastered, dialed. And so when you change a cultivar, that can change. I know there's probably people out there is, oh, he just doesn't know. But
well, I mean,
very specific.
we had Kraken and what's his name, man? That we had
Oh,
on
Grow for Life, yeah.
Grow for
We're talking
Life.
about the living beds
Right. So
for sure.
I mean, but the way his setup is, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Dude,
It
you gotta get
works.
your shit tested. You gotta go through strains, and if you're gonna dial it in completely to completely maximize, get the absolute best, like that's just like what you have to do.
Right. He's
Where
dialed it in. But his setup, I mean, if you go on the show and watch, he has a little PowerPoint. PowerPoint was pretty cool.
yeah, he's good.
I mean, he's got these
He's got it going.
massive beds and he has what he needs to add. He has it dialed in, but it took him some time. I bet. I don't have a setup like that, and I don't know if I ever want to set up like that. I
Yeah,
think this, like you're saying, the synthanic is
synthganic.
is
Nailed it.
perfect word too. Did you make that up?
No, I heard that
No.
somewhere, but when I use it, a lot of people haven't heard it before, and so sometimes I feel like I like stole somebody's idea. It's like a whole thing out there. I think that's what a lot of people use for synthetic organic mix.
Hmm.
But that, in my opinion, if you're growing in a pot, going straight organic is going to be hard as shit anyway indoors. If you're growing in a big bed, it's a little easier, especially if you're going like a living soil but you still a shit ton of testing. And still, you got to do. I mean, when you're synthetic and something's a CalMag whore, and you don't have enough calcium, when you're synthetic and you don't have enough calcium, you add more calcium. When
Mm-hmm.
you're organic and you don't have enough calcium, like that's not something you add and just see immediately. There are some products that are way more available than others, and there are some things that you can add like teas that can break down some of the calcium that maybe isn't as available. but like it's not just like an instant ionic uptakeable form like a salted nutrient is going to be. And so that's the big thing. That's the big thing there with organic. You have to be very, very, very,
Mm-hmm.
and I think what a lot of people would say there is, well, I don't care if it's like the 100% maximum. I'm getting still organic flour. It's for sure better for you because it's organic. But I don't care that I'm not the 100% maximum yield or whatever it is. And that's cool. But
And here's the thing too. You don't need a lot. That's what I've learned. For
oh
me,
yeah,
in
the
soil,
organic food.
growing soil, well, even using like I don't need to use a lot of the nutrient line that I got from you. But
Sure.
even in general, I never really needed to. I let the soil do the work, and I add like I only fill the soil up three. I learned from you. Fill the soil up in this 5 gallon pots, three,
Three
four, or
quarters.
7 3/4, and then add more
Yeah.
as you need. And by the time though you get into like week 4 of flower, you can see that plant needs something more that I'm not giving it. And you know, when I realized that less is always more when it comes to using nutrients, that's what I've learned.
Yeah.
And you can always give it more, kind of like an edible. You can always take more if you need to. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah. Yeah.
can't go back though. So I just always gave it a little bit less than what everybody says to give.
Sure.
You know, and I
Well,
don't use a lot because you don't need a lot. It's just to
but
kind of gives it like a vitamin. And well, I eat pretty well in my
boost.
life. I'm going to give you yes, I'm going to give you a little example. Okay, studying nutrition for a very long time. I eat 80% of the time. I eat really healthy. 20% of the time, I fuck off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I treat my plant. 80% of the time is really organic, and there's 20% of the time I gotta give a little juice, a little boost,
Especially that early flower.
a little multivitamin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little multivitamin, which I take vitamins. If you see my cademy, you laugh. If I ever show you my vitamin cademy, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I eat.
yeah, basically, and because I like eating French fries every once in a while.
Sure.
I like eating Mrs. Weedman made homemade pizza tonight. Sometimes you
Yeah.
need that too. Sometimes the plant needs something bad. We'll get
Yeah.
into that too because there's one thing I got to ask you about here. But sometimes plant
You
you
want to
give
know my
something.
homemade pizza trick?
Yeah,
You want to know my
yeah.
homemade pizza trick?
No,
Yeah.
tell me about it.
I roll cheese sticks in the crust.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty nice. But we do pizza setups from S&T's here in the South Side. Next time you come by, in the wintertime when you come over, we'll have to make pizza setups because
That'd
they're
be
the
cool. They
best.
like got it all together kind of for you, or you
Yeah,
put it
it's the
together and they give
shit.
you all toppings.
Yeah, the
Oh yeah.
dough's done. Little thin crust, cracker crust, right? That's the size you
Literally the
get.
best pizza.
Oh yeah, you fucking throw the sauce on there, cheese on top, because the shit's got to cook. Because I put meatball, half meat. I put half meatball and fucking ricotta cheese on one half, and then pepperoni and sausage on the other half. A meat lover's dream, and give you a heart attack.
Yeah.
And but that's sometimes you need a little bit of a little bad stuff too. The plant needs
Yeah.
something a little bad every once in a while to give it a little boost, and you
There you go.
do. It's not
It's
bad
not.
for it.
It's not even bad. Yeah. It's just
No, it's not
when
bad.
synthetic people. It's like it's a bad word. Is people associate it with bad? It's just salt based. It's immediately available. You could replace it with a lot of that, and so a lot of it with that, and so it's like it's not even bad. Some terps, some
Hmm.
plants. I had a friend he's like, no, I will only grow salts because he really liked diesels, and he said the diesel comes out way more in his tent. I said, wow, I've never tested that. I've never heard that. I've also never heard the opposite of that. So it's like there are people that say no, salt is, and it's there. So how I like to do my synth organic, and I've talked about that too, but I like to do all my organics in a tea, and I just reinforce my pot. Like it's already been proven that salts won't kill your microorganisms as long as you don't have a buildup. I don't I fucking have my recipe down. I run a decent EC, but I definitely do a large. I only run 1 gallon pots typically, maybe twos, so I have a nice little runoff. And I know nothing's getting locked up in there, man. I just run so much with how much cocoa I have since I chose the smaller pots. I can just they get fed so much, just run off every time. Like I know I'm not getting a salt buildup. And then once a week, I had my organic tea, and I let my water, my bacteria, and my different stuff that I add to my tea, break down organic foods in my tea barrel. And so I'll bubble that sometimes for 48 hours. If I go over though 24 to 36, I like to add molasses, add a little sugar for the microbes and stuff to eat and keep doing their thing. Keep it bubbled always. Add oxygen to it. Mixing it's dope too, but it has to at least be mixed. But add oxygen to it, you're gonna like it way more. And bubble it for a while, and bubble it for as long as you want. With the shop I worked at, we had a perpetual tea thing going all the time in a vortex brewer. So
Hmm.
this thing was always drained down the bottom. Used air, pushed air down to push the water
Hmm.
up, and it was always tornadoing down the bottom. And we would every day we were supposed to. Sometimes we didn't. Every day we were supposed to add like some molasses, some of this, some of that, depending on how much we sold that day.
A little bit
Yeah,
of this, a little
and
bit of that. Hey
people
yo.
score on it, but
Mm-hmm.
as we had like our colonies going for very long times at times, So yeah, try breaking down your organics and in your pot too, like what you were saying, putting organics in
Yeah.
the pot to start with, and then adding them a little bit at a time. Oh man, it's huge. It's
Mm-hmm.
when I run twos, I do it like that. I run twos so that I can put basically like a gallon and a half in there, and then I can add my topping. But the big thing is make sure you're using your nitrogen by the end. If you're running like mid flower, don't start adding like organic nitrogens, at least not high organic nitrogens. You do not want high nitrogens at the end. If you got dark
Take it
weed
from
that has a
him.
weird ass flavor, the fucking high nitrogens is a huge game changer. Cut
Mm.
those nitrogens out. My nitrogens, I cut them. I cut it down to almost zero. Only what comes in with calcium by week like 9. I could run almost everything 10 by week like 9, and I start cutting them back like week 6.
Hmm. Interesting.
But it will help with your flavor a ton. It'll help colors come out, and the dab you will 100% notice it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't. Shout out to Wolfman. His new dabs are. Mwah, mwah,
Oh, dude, how good were they?
mwah. Oh, I can't wait to this weekend too because I'm gonna be dabbing all weekend.
So good. But
Dabbing for the weekend.
yeah, that would be my for flavor. That's my tricks for flavor at least, and what I've heard as far as food goes.
Food. Hope we made
Food.
everybody hungry talking about pizza too.
Yeah, yeah,
The dry, the cure. Very important.
yeah.
Very, very. The cure to me is so important. But man, the Grove bags take fucking time now out of that. Phew,
Nice.
so fast. But the drying for me, I can do better. Just because of my setup, I need to do better once I can get a better setup. But yeah,
That's what it's
I
all about, dude. That's the
yeah,
limitations. Like like if your setup's not that's the limitations, right? Like if sometimes you just don't. If you have a spot that you can put a little dry tent, dude, it changed so much for me. It was like a thing where I had to worry about it, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Holy shit, I don't have to worry about this anymore."
right.
It was big. I even tried the nets in there. I didn't like the. Have you seen those like screens that hang? They're
Hmm.
like circles that hang down.
Yeah.
I even tried that, but I didn't like those very much. So
Because
I just
you cut the whole plant and you put it
whole
in there.
plant.
You don't, yeah. See, I don't. I don't have room for that. I don't.
No.
I hang it from fucking the old school way. I hang it
Yeah,
from
branch and branch.
yeah, branch from branch on hangers. No more wire hangers
Yeah,
ever in my grow room in my dry room one day. So
it'd be
that'd be
great
awesome.
day.
Man, I remember because I came down to your shut to your grow and you opened up that big black tent and you fucking
Yeah,
pulled out. It was strawberry. What was it? Strawberry. I can't remember. Well, you were growing a
yeah.
strawberry something at one time back then,
I had a lot of
and
strawberry going for a little bit when I was doing those
yeah,
lines.
and you
Like
cut it right
strawberry
off, and
bush
you're like,
craft.
here, yes, and you said, take this home with you, you'll love it. And I was fucking, this is
It
freshy
was
fresh.
fire.
This was
Yeah.
great. I had a
Yeah, that
whole
strawberry
jar.
bush craft was so good. I should have
That
tried with that plant.
was a good one. I think I still have a couple of seeds left of that.
I have the seeds. I just didn't breed with the actual keeper. Out of my
Gotcha,
first hunt, I didn't. I never did anything with the keeper. It was just like
gotcha.
I was.
That was
That's where the Kim Cheese Haze came from that line, and the Peach Stank came from that line.
both great strains. Mhm.
So it was like
So let's talk about the dry, the cure.
something like yeah, the dry and the cure. We talked about it a little bit, but the 60-60, man, as close as you can get to that. You definitely don't want to be over that. I know a lot of facilities will do like their very first night or their very first 12 hours. They'll do like 35% and they'll drop that relative humidity super fast in the bud as fast as they can. And then they bump it back up to 60. And I've never personally done that, but the people who have said they do that said they didn't see a difference in flavor. So and it
Hmm.
drastically decreased the like. Man, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Like the maybe not the water activity, but like the plant's ability to like grow like molds and stuff basically after harvest.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
maybe look into that. Yeah, real quick drop. A 60-60, very, very fucking slow air over that. No light. Light can degrade. Um, and you're
Hmm.
good to go. I mean, that's gonna
Nice.
be the easiest way. You get that if you get that for me, that 60-60, 2 weeks, 14 days on the fucking dot, almost exactly, with a full tent, with a half full tent, like 14 days. 12
There you
days,
go.
I'm like, oh, it's a little wet. 14 days. It's crazy.
Yeah. Molasses, you touched on it for a second. Tell us about it. Is it I mean, I hear people talk about it all the time. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read about it in so much grow books and this and that and
Yeah.
articles and shit about molasses. What's your feelings on it?
I like molasses. I think there's maybe a misconception, and I don't know if the misconception hurts how people use it, but I think that the conception of a sweetener like that is that it makes the plant sweeter. When the molasses, what it really does is it feeds your microbes. So when you grow with anything organic, especially, feed your microbes well. Now, I can say though that I think, especially if you don't run any kind of molasses, or if you're like straight salts and you don't run anything like that ever, adding a molasses towards the end, I've liked when before I got into organics, I noticed that that did as much for any kind of flavor as any other sweetener, but it was like 10% of the cost.
Hmm.
But when I really started to appreciate it is when I started running my teas and using it as a food for my microbes, and I'd also add it to my feeds every now and again. But and I wish I would sure. I'm so bad. I don't write. When I say I'm so bad, I write absolutely nothing down. But I saw something talking about how like adding molasses straight to the plant was not good for the plant. That it was actually just in that side additive that it's going to be beneficial. But I don't think that was my experience with it so much. So
Gotcha.
you know, but yeah, I like it at the end especially. As like not a flush necessarily because there's some food in it, but like week before flush, maybe 2 weeks before flush.
Hmm.
When you're pulling out some of those other foods, I don't
Right.
know. Maybe it's just my psyche being like, oh, dude, this is
I
sweetening up.
I use that recharge
Yeah,
stuff later in the game, and it has molasses in there, so I can always
yeah,
you can smell it too. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't take grandma's jar of molasses that people use. That's the real deal shit right there.
Yeah.
Everyone use that.
You can buy like
The old grandmas.
yeah, old preset molasses. You can buy 5 gallon, and maybe I found I mean, under $100 for a 5 gallon, and you're watering tops like 5 mils a gallon, I think. And so and that's tops. Like, and if you're doing a feeder, especially if you're doing a pressurized feeder, where like it's only letting out like half a gallon per hour or something,
I'm gonna ask
it's thick.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question because I've always wondered, but I never really had the cojones to ask anybody. Or is anybody using it? Honey. Has anybody ever
Yeah.
like used honey?
So there is a product I used to use it. It was really nice. It's called Mendocino Honey. It is a molasses that smells like honey. Now I don't know if honey was in it, but it was a very expensive molasses. So back when I was running that, regular molasses was like $50 for a 5 gallon, and this for 1 gallon was like $30. But that was when I was first getting into like adding something like that. I've used all kinds of stuff for flavor. Like there's all kinds of things that finished plants that are supposed to enhance flavor. There's additives like sugary and man, one of my favorites was Sour D. Those are both from the same line, but Sour D they said was apple juice based,
Hmm.
and that made me want to be like, oh shit, maybe I should like experiment with some of this other stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I first got into it growing a apple flavored strain, and I was like, man, this is cool. Let me try this, and it was all right. Like I didn't know what it was that strain was like without the Sour D, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I had more than just for that plant, and so it enhanced everything. Stuff I had run before, I was like, oh, I like this flavor more, and so that kind of got me into some of those sweeteners
Hmm.
more so. But yeah, like I said, when the key to unlock it was adding it to the tea,
Right. That's
adding the
cool.
molasses to the tea, and that's like, man, you're gonna notice if you don't use anything organic in your garden. just a few things. You let your plant take up a few things organic like that. Do it right. Try to get a little bit of fungus and bacteria in there. Beneficial, of course, by something that like is made for that. Like a terp tea, those are great. They have a veg and a bloom terp tea. They work very well, or any kind of tea. And you're gonna be surprised by the flavor that that little bit of organic additive can add.
Nice. What is a fucking good flavor
Good
to
flavor,
you?
yes. So the highest terps I think I've seen, and guys, I don't get anything tested. I'm not like a guru on this, but like 4 to 5%. Um, I'm not like that's not something I ask a lot. It is something we're gonna do like with the cuts that we have is get those tested the terpene percents because eventually that people will be able to tell people everything they need to know about the flavor. Oh, it has a lot of this. We know it's going to taste a little bit like this. You know, like if you tell somebody you had salt and pepper when you work with or cook with salt and pepper a lot, you know how it's going to kind of like change your flavor a little bit.
Mhm.
Or, thyme or, oregano. Like we've all had a lot of that. So if you tell me you're adding thyme to something, I'm going to be like, oh, it's going to taste like Thanksgiving, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, good flavor. If you see something hitting 4% terps, 5% terps, and I hope that I'm not being ignorant here, and people are like, "Man, mine's hitting 7 or something crazy."
Good for them.
But
Hell
yeah,
yeah,
for
good
sure.
for
But
you.
like that's the
That's
few
high.
tests I've
That's
talked to
high.
people
That's
about.
high.
Those are the
That's good
top
though.
numbers they're saying.
Yeah, if you're getting that right now, that's impressive.
It'd be fantastic. I mean, here's the thing. It's not technically one or the other, but the more THC that's in a plant, the less room there is for things like terpenes. Even though something like 1% terpene can be a quarter of the whole flavor, and
Right.
1% THC you're not even gonna fucking blink at.
That's why I like my
It's still
bud
a thing.
between that. Like I like that bud between like 15 and 22%. I've smoked 20. I've smoked 37%. Yeah, it's great. It has no flavor whatsoever. It's dry as
Sure,
dust.
100%.
But man, give me
I don't
that
know if I
like
believe any plants hit that either. I don't know
yeah.
that I believe that.
Right. But I like that low because you get that flavor. But but even just in general, I don't need it to be I'm getting everything I want if I get that terps in there and that esters and the flavonoids and all that stuff
Yeah.
too. Because I mean, you're feeling that full body high too. Not just a head high when you just have straight THC to the brain. You know,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
like more of the neck down high and the relaxation and the
Yeah.
flavor from the terps, but all the benefits you get from terps too. We've talked about it on the Chronicles, and we've talked about it on this show too. Um, it is just so different. When you have high terps and high everything else in that bud, and just so nice of a feeling. It doesn't like scramble your brain. I
Yeah,
know some people
100%.
need the high THC for medication. Some people need it because they like it. Whatever, I get it. No, fucking, I ain't here to judge you. I'm just saying my opinion. What I like
Yeah,
to smoke is give me that mid range, 15 to 22, give me that just taste and smell and flavor and that just deliciousness of a bud, just
100%.
my opinion.
No, I think uh, we talked about it a few times. Cannabis is very easy, even though cannabis is a medicine and alcohol is a drug. It's very easy to compare their industries because it's like cannabis. A lot of cannabis is still in its college infancy of its consumption. When you go to
Mhm.
college, it's not about like that expensive, delicious 80% whiskey, or not 80%, 80
Natty
40.
Lights, motherfuckers,
Yeah, Natty
fucking
Lights,
50
Everclear
racks for
Jello
like
shots.
fucking $10.
All yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. And so I think that so there are parts of the country that are definitely developed more, but as the whole country develops together and some of those back alleyways for like the lesser product basically leave, um, we're gonna see a huge grow in stuff like that, I think. You're gonna have to be growing some fantastic flower because as a country we're gonna be growing out of this infancy. Man, am I saying that wrong? That's a weird word. Uh, as as consumers, right? And we're gonna be
Mhm.
growing into that. Hey, we want that $500 a bottle shit, and it's what we're gonna want, and it's gonna be lower THCs. That
Yeah.
GG4 still is a strain that is one of the biggest downing strains that I smoked ever. Just
So
zonks me. That
so
shit came back at 18%
uh
THC.
It's so good. You gave me the last of that, and I still have like
Nice.
a good amount.
More's coming, baby. I don't
And
know if I have one flower yet, but there's one coming for
uh
sure.
and I have one nug left from my buddy Igneous,
Nice.
and I
Do they taste
savor.
similar?
Oh no, no, they're actually really
Cool.
different. I should actually give you a nug of it. I should save that for the next time you're here, and you just
Does he
came
have the
here.
GG? We should ask him if he had the GG4 clone only,
I
or
don't
if
know.
it
I gotta
was
ask
like a
him. No,
GG4 seed or something, like an S1 or something.
yeah, he's on. Oh, you know what? Ask. He's on our chat in our
Okay.
group, the Vipers group. He's on there.
Okay.
Ask him, Igneous.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Cool.
great question to ask him. He'd love it. He's one's been growing for like 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
Phenomenal weed. I gotta give you some. I gotta get some for you next time you come by. He's fucking pretty.
Dude,
Mwah.
GG4 is
Yeah.
so
Oh
good.
my god, it's just a fucking. It's like one of my top 5 all time
Yeah.
favorites.
It's so good, man.
Oh,
It's so good.
I mean, I light up every time you say it. I mean, every time you say GG4 when you have it, I'm fucking just like bing. Miss Weedman too.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
mwah,
Yeah, buddy.
it's like that's why we savor that. Like I don't share that anymore. Like you have to be someone special for me to share that. I'm a
You
pig,
know,
Earl. I'm a
yeah,
pig.
you know
I'm
how
a
important you
pig.
are to me by the strains I share with you.
I mean, I have a buddy of mine who absolutely loves it, and he's gotten some for me, and he's like, "Dude, I'll take all of it. I'll take pounds of that shit." He goes, "I'll take pounds upon pounds of that. I will." He said, "He goes, he fucking loves it." I said, "I know," and I don't tell him how much I have left because I don't. I only bring it out if he comes. He's the only person I share it with him with, but I don't give him any more of it because I don't know when it's coming again.
Yeah. Well, it should be coming hopefully within a few months.
Oh shit! Are some of the tricks?
Okay, yeah.
Tell me some
Uh,
tricks, man.
so we talked about the tea a little bit. I'm just gonna stress it again. Get a fucking tea brewing. Get some molasses to add to whatever product you choose. Google it. The terp tea I really like, but there's other teas I've used that are really dope. Some are real complicated, and you had this, and that. Some of them are one product. Give yourself a little bubbler. Bubble that tea. 24 hours, whatever. Some if the directions say differently, follow the fucking directions. Add some molasses to it, and then add that shit at least once a week. The more the merrier, right? Like if you're growing in soil and you're watering once a week, add a little bit of nutrients to it. You know, do your nutrient at half your normal dose, and then add that shit too at half the normal dose. And see what happens. When it comes to the hard flowering times, then maybe lean off that and go harder on the synthetic, harder on the salts. Bust your flowers. You're already gonna have a ton of flavor. You're gonna have a ton of organics in your pile already. Bust your flowers. When you want to start fading back off of that, bump your organics up again. Just leave out your nitrogen.
Hmm,
And
nice.
you're gonna get a much larger yield than just organic typically, and your flavor is gonna be there. But yeah, that another huge thing. We haven't even talked about it. People don't talk about it. This is one of the ones that like people old school growers would come in and talk about it. Sulfur, sulfur.
There was a big
On
argument.
top of the
There
pot.
was there was a big argument or a big I don't remember who I was on, what site I was on, what social media. I can't fucking remember. I just caught it and someone said something. I the people out there still use sulfur.
Dude.
And some people are like, nah, blah, 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 blah. But then you could just see who's been using. So some people that might have been some long term time growers were like, oh yeah, sulfur, you got to use it. You know, they're like,
Yeah.
not that you need. They were like saying you got to use it. I was like, oh okay, that's cool.
Well, there's two. So there's sulfur as the pesticide, and there's sulfur as the flavor enhancer.
I think they were talking about sulfur as the flavor enhancer, not
Yes,
the
but
pesticide.
when you say sulfur, sometimes people don't know that people top dress with it. They say, "Oh yeah, I've sprayed that before," and then I sprayed oil and it killed everything, and or whatever you know. And it's like, as a pesticide, I don't listen. If it you works for you, that's awesome. I know there, but for me, the amount of time that it takes that you can reapply, and the fact it takes away a lot of other. You can't use oil base if you're spraying sulfur. If you're top dressing with it, you're cool. So, what I like to use it for is only a top dress. I've never found one that was actually completely water soluble. I've tried a few different kinds, and they always fall out in my reservoir. Some stay a little longer, but none of them have ever actually like been water soluble and like stayed in solution in my reservoir.
Hmm.
So top dress has been the only way I've known how to do it, and I do it at least 3 times in flower. And I don't do it more than that because I've had times where I use too. This is my theory. I use too much, and it was just like the only way I could explain it. I don't even know if it's a real thing, like a sulfur poisoning almost, where like the flour was just kind of like weird. Like it was just weird. I can't even explain it really. Like
Hmm.
the texture was weird. The smell was all very, very like off, like much skunkier and like not in a good way, like almost in a rotted way. And
Yeah.
like it wasn't rotten at all. It was like the smoke was high, everything was fine, but it was like just very weird. And so
No
I backed
bueno.
off of that. I did it like every week or something because I got to the point where I was like, every time I add more of this, shit tastes better. And I was like, fuck it, let's go for it, you know. And I shouldn't have done a whole tray or whatever I ended up doing, but sulfur, at least a few times through flour. Another great thing about sulfur is that the bugs do fucking hate it. So especially if you're doing some gnats or something, if you're going through flour and you top dress sulfur like week right when your flowers start going, right? Week like let's say week like 2, 3, and then again week like 4 or 5, give it a couple weeks, and then again week like 6 or 7, something like that. And then you go week, when you put them in, you go diatomaceous earth top.
Mm-hmm.
Diatomaceous earth you can't overdo. So you can do it every week if you want. But what I do is I do like diatomaceous earth. I top that. That's looking pretty good until I get to that 3 week sulfur. Then I top with diatomaceous earth the week after, or maybe 2 weeks after that. I like throw that in there a few times too. So 6 weeks out of the 10 weeks I'm in flower, I'm top dressing with something that bugs fucking hate,
Hmm.
and it helps my plant. Diatomaceous earth bugs hate also breaks down into a silica. I'm not sure how much of that is uptakeable or usable, but it still breaks down to a fucking silica.
It's good stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been using DM for a long time now, so it's good
yeah,
stuff
yeah. It works.
for outdoor pest.
Dude, spray
Um,
that shit, 50 grams a gallon. You spray that shit, it'll stick to the plant. You can get it in a veg and move it into flower, and you harvest, and you'll still see diatomaceous earth on your stems. Bugs do not like walking. Like you can't. Bugs won't walk over your stems when it has it on there. Like it's such a good product.
mhm. It's good stuff. And it doesn't harm the earth. You can eat
Yeah.
if your dog ate it, it wouldn't harm them. If you ate it, it won't harm you.
It won't hurt
So
bees unless you
yeah,
directly spray the bee. It won't hurt a bee to like walk over it or anything like it will a mite or any of those real small animals or those real small insects that fuck your plants
yeah,
up for you.
and people use it to kill ants. Don't outdoor ants. Leave them alone. Leave the ants in your
Dude,
garden. They're
I
good
killed
for
the
your.
fuck out of those ants.
I
They're
don't.
like they're like all up in my cement and shit. Like,
Is that no? That's different. Let them go live out in your garden a little bit, though. They help the environment a little bit.
yeah,
They
I'll
kill
let
all
them be
like
out there.
they kill all
I'm
the
in my
bad.
house.
Yeah, in the grass. I leave them out in the grass. They kill all the bugs out there. They kill the ticks and they kill. They fucking beat up the fleas. Trust me, they're good. They aerate they build fucking tunnels all over the place. Don't kill ants with it. Just trust me. It's good for your garden. Mrs. Weedman hates them in our garden, outside in the grass. I'm like, no, leave them. They're good. Don't
Don't
you
fuck with
know?
these guys.
Don't fuck with the ants anymore, people. Just like the bees. Stop fucking with the bees. We
We're never
need
gonna
them.
win.
We need them. So,
Dude, one of my favorite things right now is a friend hunted out a bunch of different plants and they found 3 males in a few different lines. Peanut butter breath, like a BX and an F2 and some other stuff. And I have an original peanut butter breath female that's pretty good. And they're like, hey, you should look at these. So they brought them by. They're sitting outside. I have them like with all my veggies and shit. Bumblebees. I've never had so many bumblebees. I fucking love it. These little fluffy flyers everywhere. They love these males.
hmm,
There's 3 of them just, dude, I'm not even exaggerating. Like sometimes 40 or 50 bumblebees just like
hmm.
buzzing around, being little cute,
I
fluffy
love
ass
it.
bees.
I love them when I get all the pollen on their legs and shit, and they can't even fly off the plant because
Yeah,
they weigh so much.
they're like puppies that gorge themselves.
Yeah, it's all good for your backyard, man. I'm telling you, ants.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about ants in your house and shit, dude. I don't like
yeah.
that. They get in your
They
food
get
and
rid of
stuff.
that shit.
Out in the grass, just let them do their thing, man. Let the nature be nature. Don't try
Yeah,
not to kill us too much shit. We killed enough shit. We fucked up this earth enough.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
What else? What's the next one?
Yeah. And
Oh,
then we
uh,
talked the grove bags, man. Just make sure you're
yeah.
doing that shit right. Or go to grove bags, go to your jars, keep burping,
Eight
keep
decades
fucking
jars, Earl
8 decade
swears
jars.
by
Fuck
them.
yeah. Keep burping, keep on that shit. Because I'm telling you, when you do that right, you can keep flavor for a pretty long time. At least a little flavorful. It might not be the best weed you ever smoked in 6 months, but it's gonna be like somebody's best weed probably.
I'm telling you what,
Yeah.
everything I've grown Is some of my grows I fucked up on, but I still got good weed. Every grow got better and better and better though. Flavor wise, high wise, I mean, it could I can't. I've gotten high off all my stuff, you
Yeah.
know. But flavor wise, I've tasted a difference over the last 5 years.
Yeah, when you can
Um,
start like express, like allowing the plant to express, like giving it what it needs to express
yeah,
itself, like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah,
wh-
dude.
what about how you smoke? I've talked about this on the show too, but it can influence flavors, especially if you have a dirty bowl, like a dirty fucking bowl that you have so much resin in the screen. It's fucking just tar.
Yeah,
Fucking clean your bowls, man. I'm telling you,
for sure.
clean your bongs. Telling you,
Use that
please.
water. Just clean the water out. At least
Yeah.
clean your fucking water out.
I mean,
Oh
just like
man.
now they have the catchers too. You could buy those so it doesn't fuck your bong up if you're dirty
Yeah.
people out there that don't like to clean your bongs at all. I will never. I told the story. My daughter went to school with these girls, and I've told them to their face. I've told this story. I walked in. They did a mix of fucking tobacco and flour in their and flour in their bongs. They loved it. The spleef, they loved the
Oh
mixture,
shit.
but they never cleaned their bong, and they never changed the water. It was I fucking gross. It was black. It was
Yeah.
fucking black. As soon as I walked in, the first time I went over the house and I went in and she was doing a rip, I'm like, don't you? She goes, you want one? I'm like, absolutely not. She's like, why? You don't like the mixture? I'm like, that bong is fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Clean your get some
Yeah.
alcohol and some salt, and just it's all you need to do and change the fucking. It was.
Well, here's the thing. When I definitely everything for I do a lot of joints now, but back in the day, I had to keep my pieces dirty because there came points often where I didn't have any weed. And I needed something to get high by,
Yeah, I
and so if my
know.
bowl was dirty, I had to
You got
just
some
smoke the
resin,
side of
I
it.
know. Burn the fuck out of your throat though after doing too
Yeah,
much of that shit.
you
But
gotta
yeah,
do what you
joints,
gotta do, brother.
a clean bong, slightly chilled water,
Mm,
you will get a perfect flavor. A vaporization, the volcanoes. Earl, a lot of your weed comes with me when we do a lot of the events. A good volcano vaporizer, set at the right
blast it out.
temperature. You will taste nothing but true flavor. You're not gonna you'll get high, but you ain't gonna get. I tell people all the time, you're not gonna get high. It's
It
all
feels nice.
about the flavor. I don't turn mine up very high for the cannabinoids to burn hot. I keep them at around 500, 450, 500 degrees.
Yeah,
Sometimes I might go a little lower too, just to get even more flavor too. I want people to enjoy both, the flavor and the high. So, but that is a true way to get a good flavor. A joint, I mean, is so nice.
yeah.
If
I love joints.
yeah, a good paper joint, like just like get that. And actually, you want to really truly get the flavor of weed. Don't light it. Just hit it. Just dry hit it. Don't hit it on fire. You will get the true flavor of what that weed tastes like.
Yeah,
Before you set a lighter to it, just dry hit it a couple times, and you are gonna really know what weed tastes like.
yeah. My absolute favorite thing about joints is when you get a really complex flavored cannabis and the flavor changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when you're first smoking it, it's a little fresher, and then you start to get like a more hashy flavor, and the hashy flavor builds. But some strains just build as the hash flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of those bubble hashes and those hashes back in the day didn't taste a ton different. They just had a hash flavor.
Right.
A lot of strains just build like that. But some strains you can have like three very distinct flavors coming through from the first few hits. It's what you got 4 or 5 people. You do a couple of rounds. You pay attention to every time you hit the joint. Sometimes it can be a little bit different, and it's just it's a nice way to like see a complexity in flavor. I think how that like comes down the
Right.
pipe of the joint. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
it is. You could really, excuse me, all the different ways we've talked about on that to get flavor. It is to true just enjoyment. Now we're now learning more as I have over the last 5 years about flavor. So much to do with like how a lot of people have grown. I mean, I always knew weed tasted good and smelled good, back in the 90s and 80s and shit. But you didn't fucking, you did it to get high with your friends and socialize and fucking go home and smoke one, whatever. To like 5 years ago is when actually like 2013, 2014 is when I really started learning a little bit about flavor and terps. But like 2019, 18, 17 is like when it really like started learning more and more. And now it's what everybody talks about. It's
Yeah,
great.
for sure.
It is great, and it's fun to learn more and more about this, and it's enjoyable to learn how you talked about flavor, in this episode, how to grow for flavor. I'm looking forward to, getting more growers on and breeders on and talking about flavor, because I think it's important. I think it's educational for a lot of the new school kids that want to learn how to grow or are starting to learn how to grow, what the G's have been doing for a long time, and the OGs, the ocean growns, have been doing for a long time, because it's important to keep that going. I mean, share
For
the
sure.
knowledge on that so they learn. It's not just all about getting high and why you're getting high. It's not all THC based high. You're getting high off of flavor too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
And it's
uh
affecting how and that literally right there is the single biggest like devastation to the cannabis industry as far as how it's evolved is shops going. Shops aren't really. I mean, there are shops, right? But not like it used to be. Like the money's just not there. Everybody fights over this price, that price. They want to. When you are in a shop, they want to price match Amazon. The money's just not there. You can order from
right.
anywhere, and so, but that kind of like it was almost like a Cheers kind of atmosphere. If there were 200 regulars at Cheers. There's a lot of these people we knew for sure because they've been coming there for a long time, but they were only there every other week. But like it's like
You got to do something different now, though.
information, bro.
You got to do a grow
Information
shop.
exchange.
You got to do a grow shop with a consumption shop
That'd be
lounge.
cool. Yeah, that'd be sweet.
You have to have like the
Huge.
2-in-1, because you get people coming in. You have to walk them in through the grow shop first to get to the consumption lounge. It's like
Yeah.
Disney World. You know what I'm saying? So
Here's
you
how we
got,
grow your weed.
because you have some old school G's that used to work at these grow shops that fucking
Yeah.
loved it. They were passionate about working in. They loved talking weed.
All had their tricks, bro. They
Right.
all
So
had their
that's,
tricks.
and you don't see them anymore. That's the fun stuff. So you got to make it an experience. So like people that now that grow, more and more people are learning how to grow. Now you need them back. I mean, yes, I know you can go to fucking Amazon, but that's great. But you're not getting the experience of like going to a grow
100%.
shop and talking to some people and getting your questions asked and what you could use and what did they use? What do they recommend? Oh, what's this,
Yeah.
this, and this. So if you make it a consumption lounge, where you could fucking sell some fucking your flower, or they bring their own flower in and walk around and get to smoke weed and talk and fucking make a cool ass fucking hangout area.
Yeah.
I think you have to make it more experience based more now than just a fucking old school fucking just nutrient
Yeah. Show you.
shop.
There's so
You
many
know?
shows and there's so many books and there's so
Yeah.
many this way, that way.
There's so many podcasts now that people
Yeah.
can learn how to grow on. There
Yeah,
is,
for sure. For
you
sure.
know.
But
But
you can't go to those things and ask them a direct question. Bro, we were the cheapest consultants you'd ever. People would come in, they'd ask for specific people sometimes not even, and it would be an onslaught of questions that needed an onslaught of more questions to answer, and you'd go through every possible variable, and it was just like 90% of the problems fell under 10 different resolutions, but it was like it was fun, dude. It was one of those things. It was the one of the rare times where like I really knew that I was somewhere really fun and special while I was there. Like, you usually leave a
right.
chapter of your life and you're like, man, that was dope. I should have taken a step back and taken that in a little more. That was one of the times where like I did take a step back and I was like, this is the dopest fucking job. So we had our testing room. We test out ballasts and lights and shit, and we
Well,
just
I mean, that's
we had
what you also have
dab
to do.
rigs and we
Well,
got high and like it was
that's
fucking
what you.
awesome.
That's what there it is. You also have to add like a testing center too. I think people can come and get their weed tested and their soil tested, and you have to like if you had like someone there testing weed right then
Yeah.
on the spot too to
We
come
had
to the
that
grow
there. We had
shop.
a
Right.
purple pro is what they called it, and we had
There you go.
CBD and THC testing. That was it.
Yeah, but
But
but now you can get
you
your
could do it.
terpenes tested too, so you can get if you get
Yeah.
someone to do it all. Also, you should have like a doctor on site. Maybe people signing up. People keep the
Fucking
med.
cards.
No, yeah, get the med programs going. Still
Yeah.
keep those going and shit. I think it has to be something like that. And then you have like
Full
guys
on
like
attraction.
yeah. Then you have guys like us come out and fucking do shows out of there and shit like that. It's got to be more experience based nowadays if you don't want people to go to Amazon.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
here's the thing: Amazon's a fucking conglomerate. They buy so much bulk, they get cheap pricing.
Yeah.
But I'll always fight for the mom and pop shops.
for sure.
I do. I don't shop at them as nearly as much as I'd like to because you are paying maybe 10% more, and sometimes it gets expensive. But I do show love to a lot of places still
Same.
because I do enjoy going to the mom and pop shops because it's more experience based. You get to see people. I still visit this one little bakery right over here in my neighborhood. Been around since 1939. I love going there. I'll go there fucking till I die. It's just a
Yeah.
cool little bakery shop, mom and pop. You got to support as best you can. Try even if you're not buying thousands of dollars from them, but if you go to their shops and you spend a couple $100, that keeps them alive.
Yeah.
So you got to give, like, I can get all my vitamins on fucking Amazon, but I go to my little fucking vitamin shop still. It's been around, little
'Cause
family
you want
owned,
them
been
to be
around.
there. You want them to be
Yeah,
there next week. You
yeah,
got to
of
buy something today.
course. Yeah, and you get to see, I mean, there's one dude that knows his shit, taught me about some new shit I never taken before. I was like, damn, dude, you got my business. You always have my business. Whether
That's
I
it.
spend a couple $100 there a month. You just got to support. I mean, you own a mom and pop business. I own a mom and pop business. Got to support best you can. But
Yeah.
Amazon's easy. It is.
Easy.
Somebody doesn't.
No
Someone,
time,
someone,
cheaper.
and somebody doesn't like to go wait in lines. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
Like me,
Here it is.
lines and traffic, two of my fucking most hate. I spend more time in lines and traffic in my life than I have what I really, if I can get that time back, oh my gosh. But anyway, I digress. Flavor, is it the single most important factor in the flour? Is
Is
it?
it? Yeah. I think it's like to each their own kind of thing, you know. I think to some, I could, if somebody, when people say that, I say yeah, yeah, fuck yeah, I can see that. But for me, in what I do, and what the people I've talked with and the reasons I've done kept different strains or advanced different strains or different effects in different strains, the effect, is the biggest thing. I think that it's hard to even put flavor as a backseat to that because the flavor oftentimes affects the effect quite a bit. So if you have a strain that's very lemony and lemony to you is very uplifting, and another lemony strain is probably gonna be pretty uplifting for you. Not all of them, maybe a little less or a little more than this or that, but for me at least, that's the general rule of thumb. The flavor. When somebody tells me I want an upper, I want more of an upper, or I want a sativa, let's say, right? I typically trying to give them what they want. Take that as I want an upper weed,
Right.
and so for me, an upper weed is typically lower THC that comes in like a fruity flavor.
Yeah, limonene, fucking A and B pinene. You want that higher fucking terps in that area because that's gonna make him run around and do laps. That's why I think
Yeah,
when I was a kid, my mom used to fucking spray lemon pledge on the fucking furniture. I'd go there and sniff it
yeah,
and run around the house fucking 50 times that lemon pledge. A little lemon pledge.
yeah. The queen of this motherfucker. But yeah, and then when they say downers, it's like those real OGs, like that Nightmare OG, that peanut butter breath, like that
Myrcene,
shit's downy as
myrcene.
fuck.
Give me that myrcene, baby. Give me that. That's mine, and that's our friend Terp Fiends. That's my fave. Oh, just
Oh, dude.
favorite Terp right there.
But yeah,
Mm.
effect flavor definitely number two, hot number two, the 1.2, right there. And then for me being a gardener, a lot of people look at a lot of stuff, bag appeal, smell, all that shit. But if the flavor, listen, I like it to smell good. If I could get a weed that smelled like nothing but tasted like the fucking shit, I would love that because then I wouldn't have to double turkey bag a fucking ounce just to not have it smell in my car. You know what I mean? If I could get a strain that like just smelled like grass, but when you smoked it, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like this is the terpiest, most delicious shit I ever smoked. Oh my god, I'd be working. That's all I'd grow. And it's like this, but so the ease of growth for me, bro. Like
Yeah,
making sure it doesn't have a ton of leaf to flower ratio is huge just because I'm not in my garden as much as I'd like to be. And so a plant that grows a fuck ton of leaves and I got to defoliate for 3 times,
mm,
4 times more time than
yeah,
another plant. I don't care how chronic it is. If it's that good, I'm working that out. Like that's the number one thing I'm going after. So I love this, but the sun kissed was kind of like that for me. It was like small and super bushy. I was like, this is terpy as fuck, but gonna happen. It was like
I-
all the pheno of it, and I was like, I did do one cross with it. I never released it.
when did you grow that? Because I never got a chance to try that.
I grew that as a tester a long time ago,
It must have been
and
before we
the
met because I haven't heard that strain before. I'd be like,
well,
oh, I'd like to try the sun
he
kissed.
asked me. He's like, I think I'm gonna make this my next line. I think I'm gonna make this my next male. So because like he didn't care what I did with them as long as I sent him pictures and all that stuff for testing. And so he's like, so you can work with anything, of course, but just don't work with this. And I said, oh, that's cool with me. And so I don't think I was unhonest because I did cross one branch of it for myself and probably got like 100 seeds. I forget what male I crossed it to, but never released it, never gave it to anybody. It was just for myself because it's super terpy. And I was like, man, if I could work that like 3 leaves to every bud constant, like I this would be great, you know. But
I
you
tell
know,
you what, ease of growth is a big thing. Yeah, I mean that's
yeah,
why
for
so many,
gardening,
and especially for the new growers too that are trying to they have a small tent like myself. What does everyone want to grow? Auto fem, auto fem, auto fem. Ease of growth. They grow small, get nice big buds, juicy,
yeah.
easy. Be done in fucking smoking
Terpy
it.
now, God, all those are
Yes,
so fucking
it,
terpy anymore.
yes. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the last grow I did that Alabrije, the Jack Frost that he threw me that pack, dude. I got monster buds and monster terp, and they were small, fucking like they were small plants. Remember I told you? But just yeah, I mean, it was so easy to grow. It was fucking
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
But I mean, I go like I said, I'll go back and forth. I need to get a grow on. No, I haven't put anything in my plants in 6 weeks in my tent in 6 weeks. So I need to fucking
Doing
buy
the itch.
some. Oh, dude, I took the summer off. I did.
What are you
I
gonna put in
lied.
there?
I got that. I was thinking about putting that fucking
The trichome?
mm-hmm. Because it's a fem, so it's a reg fem, and it's just nice and easy. So, and then
Yeah.
I'll go back and I got some friends of mine that threw me a pack of auto fems here in the south side, some south side
Nice.
terp guys. So I'll probably do that next for a quick grow, and then probably throw one of your packs in. I got some of your packs still, and then maybe go back into something else. I don't know. I just got to get my tent going again. I got to clean it, get it going, fucking get a new fan, a new carbon filter, and get some soil ordered, and I'm fucking good to go. I'll be probably maybe October. I'll probably start up again.
How many
Do my
gallons of
first
soil
one.
you need? I can bring you some of my cocoa soil. Did I already tell you that?
Yeah, I think you told me that.
Okay.
I'd probably what I got two fucking 3 gallon pots. That's what I grow in.
6 gallons.
Yeah, 6 gallons, or I might throw them in the 5 gallon. If it's a fem, so I'll probably don't need 5 gallon cloth. I'll probably use the 3 gallon pots. So and that will everyone's like what yeah if well I use Big Earl's nutrients, it's all you need.
Yeah, buddy. I can
It's
throw you
all
some
you
of that
need.
soil too, and that'll be literally all you need, and hopefully be like,
I'll see you at the end of September, then I'll wait.
okay, yeah,
Oh wait, like I said, I gotta get my tent cleaned up and I got some shit to do. It's like it's fucking not even end of September, beginning of September yet. I know, but I gotta buy some stuff and it
yeah,
costs
you're
money.
good to go.
I gotta buy a few things, new stuff. I gotta upgrade. It's time for an
Yeah,
upgrade.
gotta let the heat waves go through too. Let those bills get out of here.
Yeah. So I mean, you know what though? Air condition hasn't. We've been keeping the house at like 74, 75. Mrs. Weedman's always fucking cold, hot or cold, but
Yeah,
more cold than hot. And so to me, I'm fine because I stay in the basement a lot. So the basement holds cool down here, so it's great. So down
nice.
here it's probably 73 degrees. Up there it's 72 degrees. I was like, what? I'm warm blooded. I'm not. I don't need heavy air conditioning in my life. If I
You
can
want
live
warm.
if I can live with the windows open 24/7, 365 days a year, I hate stale air and air conditioning. I know I get it. I just don't like living in air condition. I like
Yeah,
windows open. I like fresh air, fresh oxygen, So
yeah.
um
It's always about the acclimation with me. If I can if I have had a lot of air conditioning and I go to something warm, I'm warm. But like if it's somewhere it's like I've had the windows open for a while and it's just been a little warm and like I'll get used to that shit pretty quick.
right. Yeah, I just like good. Fall's coming. This is window season for me. As soon as it hits
Oh,
that fucking
especially this
70.
next week.
No humidity. Everybody out there.
Mhm.
That's why
50 at
Midwest.
night.
Yeah, that's why
Hmm.
Midwest this is the best time of year. Windows open under 3 or 4 blankets. It's just
Every window open.
laying next to your partner or your loved one. Oh, it's nothing better.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Big Girl, my brother. It's been a minute since we recorded. That's why we went a little over. We had a lot to talk about, and
Yeah.
this was a
Oh
great
yeah,
show,
dude.
man. Thanks for putting this one together. This was really good, man. I mean, focusing on flavor over everything is fucking it matters. So, appreciate you, brother. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely, dude.
the one thing we didn't fucking talk about though,
This is true.
flavor. What's the most important thing you need for fucking flavor? And we never said it one fucking time.
That is true. The number one, I think most people can guess it, but the number one, literally, go anywhere, look it up for anything, including flavor, is CalMag. obviously. CalMag. It doesn't matter how you get it. Get your calcium in there with bones if you need to. Get your calcium in there with some kind of, salt from the devil. Uh, and the magnesium too. Epsom salt. Get it in there. Uh, always.
Everybody, we love you. Don't forget the CalMag. Peace! Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.